For this demonstration, we're going to be installing and mounting a model 1041 wall mount garden hose reel to this fiber cement lap siding. Now this particular lap siding is about 7 1/4 inches spacing, but the reel will mount to virtually any size of lap siding. Now if you read through the owner's manual, you know that this model can be assembled for either parallel or perpendicular configuration, and you can look through the manual and decide which one works best for you. The installation process is exactly the same regardless of the configuration. For this demonstration, I'll be assembling the parallel wall mount reel. Now I've got the reel pretty much assembled here, and for the installation process we're going to want to take the flange part off. So basically it's a pretty simple process. I just unscrew the swivel here. And then we're just going to use this for installing it onto the wall. Now the first thing you want to do is decide where you want to locate it on the wall. Two things to keep in mind. You want the center of the reel within 5 feet of the faucet so that the inlet hose will reach. And the other thing is the height of the reel. You want it at a comfortable height for operation. You don't want it too low so you're bending over. You don't want it too high so you're reaching up. A good rule of thumb is usually, belt to belly button, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we're going to go somewhere about right in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the wall plate directly in the center of one of the laps there. That way it'll make it a little bit easier for leveling it up as well. You don't have to, you can position it anywhere on the lap siding, but I'm going to go right there. Now, this is the parallel configuration. You can mount it this way, you can flip it over and mount it this way, doesn't matter. Same operation since the reel runs this way. If this was a masonry wall or brick or concrete, you could actually mount it vertically if you wanted. And again, doesn't matter. It's parallel action. That sometimes comes in handy too if you're going to mount it to posts or columns. But since this is a stud wall, we're going to mount it horizontally and go that way. The perpendicular configuration is a little bit different. This one is set up for perpendicular. It has to be mounted horizontally. This would be for left hand rewinding. Flip it over, mount it this way. That would be for right hand rewinding. So that's what it cannot be mounted vertically. So that's the only difference there. The next thing we need to do then is, once you decide where you want to locate it, we need to drill our pilot holes. Now if this was a masonry wall, you can just go ahead and mark your holes and drill away. But since this is a stud wall, we first have to find a stud. The reel can hold up to 100 pounds of weight, so you want to make sure that you get those lag bolts into a stud. There is no quick and easy way to find the studs on a wall like this. Stud finding tools like this usually can't penetrate deep enough to find the stud on lap siding or stucco walls. So your best bet is to use a point of reference where you are pretty confident there's a stud, like a corner or a window or some other point of reference, and then measure from that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to want it in this general area here. We're going to measure out. And most stud walls are framed for 16 inches on center. Some are 24, but most are 16. So we're going to measure out, we're going to go 16, 32. So there should be a stud right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and position our wall plate, put that in the center. And you can use the lap siding to kind of keep it level. If you're on masonry, use the mortar line. Or if you want, you can just get a level and put across there too. But eyeballing it usually is good enough. So we're about right there. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my top 2 holes and hope there's a stud there. Now what we need to do is drill a pilot hole. And the instructions call for an 1/8 inch drill bit. And what you want to do is go in approximately 2 inches. You don't need to go any further than 2 inches because the lag bolts, this is the hardware that comes with the reel. And as you can see, it comes with 4 lag screws for stud walls. It comes with 4 anchor bolts for masonry. And then these little black pieces here are spacers specifically for lap siding like this so we can keep it level. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a pilot hole right here. Success. Hit a stud. So I should be safe drilling over here, assuming it's a 16-inch stud wall. Okay. Now that we've got that, we're ready to mount the wall plate. Now when it comes to mounting the wall plate, you have some options on which tools to use. This is the lag screw that comes with the hardware, and as you can see, it's got a little pocket on the head, a hex key pocket, which is kind of nice because then you can use the hex key that came with the reel and just use that for installing it into the wall. Or what you can do is take a 7/16 socket wrench, ratchet wrench, and tighten it on that way. Or if you don't have that, you can just use a regular 7/16 wrench, tighten it on that way. Or you could use my personal favorite, which is a 7/16 socket on a cordless drill bit, and that makes the installation process even faster yet. So what we're going to do, now these spacers here, we're going to mount this, but we're going to want to put one of these spacers behind it between the wall plate and the wall so that it holds it off the lap siding. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and feed that through there, and we're going to go ahead and mount it in that first hole. I don't want to go all the way yet because I want to make sure that I get the other one started. Now you don't want to over tighten here. There's no reason to. Just a real firm, snug fit. So make sure if you use a cordless drill, the torque isn't too tight. But basically, let's just tighten that down. I'll need a little tighter than that. And you probably don't want to go too far until you get the bottom ones going. So what we're going to need to do is go ahead and drill the pilot holes on the bottom holes. Now that I've got the topped ones, and you can mark them if you want, or you can just center that drill bit. Same thing over here. Alright, let's go back to our 7/16 socket, grab another lag bolt, spacer, put it in behind there, get that started. Now since I don't want to over tighten, I'm probably going to finish that off with my ratchet wrench so I can feel how tight I'm getting it. There we are. So let's go back to our ratchet wrench. Okay, that's good and snug. There we are. That's good. All right, so there we are. That's mounted. Now what we're ready to do is we're ready to put the reel back together. First thing you want to do is take the inlet hose and feed the male end of it through on the back side of the axle. Just go through just a little bit just to get it through. Take your flange assembly, slide onto the axle. Okay. Next comes a cam lever brake. Then pull that inlet hose on through. Thread it back onto the swivel. Make sure you tighten it down as best you can so it doesn't leak. So we tighten that down. Now go ahead and thread the swivel back onto the axle. And you have just installed and mounted your wall mount garden hose reel. Now the next step is to put the garden hose on the reel. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get ready to do that.